Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about how to welcome more plants into your diet. So as always, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions or comments, we are going to be doing polls later. You can do all of that in your control panel and in your questions box. If you have any sort of technology issues, again, that can go in the questions box, or if you have any questions about the webinar itself, all of that can go in the questions box. We try to answer your questions right away, but if we don't get to it during the presentation, we will definitely answer them within 24 hours. A little bit about us. We have been a division-funded program with the ARC of New Jersey since 1983. We support the state's largest network of individual self-advocates and self-advocacy groups. We also provide comprehensive training and resources to self-advocates, family members, direct support professionals, and agency personnel. So I just want to remind you, we do have some items in your handouts tab. One of them is this weekly planner, so you can join us on all of our adventures during the week, including our webinars today. You can also sign up for our email list to find out exactly what else is going on. And register to join us on Wednesdays at 11 and Fridays at 1 for our Healthy Lifestyles Project Live. As always, we're still doing trainings, and you can find our training flyer in the handouts tab as well. So if you're interested in having us come and do a free training for you or your group, reach out to us and let us know. Everything is available on our YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter page. And I want to introduce our speaker today. Today we are joined by Veronica Ramirez. She's a marathon runner and a transformational health coach. She's passionate about nutrition and teaching others how to live a healthier and well-balanced life. She provides trainings on nutrition, wellness, and healthy movement on our social media. And you can reach her at Vero Pure Green or at her website, veropuregreen.com. So now I'm going to turn it over. Thank you so much, Veronica, for joining us today and for presenting on this.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Erin, for the intro. Thank you also for having me. I wanted to thank the ARC of New Jersey and also the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project for giving me the opportunity to share information, webinars, and fun projects that we do weekly and daily. So I encourage everybody to check everything out and hopefully invite more people to join us to learn a lot of things that can benefit our health and our life. So today we are going to be talking about something that can be very controversial, but not, which is food. And it can be so confusing. Coming from a country where I grew up eating homemade food, then moving to the United States as a student, I think that was a great opportunity for me to start seeing food from a different perspective. Food started looking to me very different, and I also started appreciating food more than ever because we all need to eat, and food is also a crucial element so we can fuel our bodies and also very critical for our health and our well-being. So today I'm going to be talking about plant-based diet. And before I start, I want to remind everybody that before you make any changes into your diet, it is very important that you talk to your doctor and that you also know and are aware of what your body needs. We are all very different. We are bio-individual. Our bodies we're not all designed the same, and our bodies are different when it comes to food and nutrients. So the first one is the confusion about what to eat. And this is something that I think a lot of us go through from the moment that we wake up and then the moment that we get home from work or from a busy day. And it's something that we even think about all day. What am I going to eat today? What's for lunch today? What what am I going to have for breakfast tomorrow? And sometimes we forget that it's very important to not think about so much what we're going to eat, but what is this food giving us? And how can we benefit from what we're putting in our bodies? So from my personal experience and having two children, and also being busy like we all are, having very little time to prepare and make foods that are healthy and easy, and also because there's so much in terms of allergies and reactions, and I think because of the way the environment is changing, the products and the things that we're using, it can be very, very, very confusing. So we live in a world that is also constantly bombarding us with so much information. Too much information can be extremely confusing, especially now that we have access to social media and there's so many different diets, keto diet, the Atkins and the low fat, the low sugar, the gluten free. But I think that in terms of thinking of our health, the most important thing is to think about how bio-individual we are. Thinking about what is it that our body is telling us. And this is something that we actually experience every day. And it's mostly when, for example, we have a food that makes us feel like not very good. Sometimes we eat something that can give us like a headache or makes us feel like, create some reaction on your skin, or just not make you feel the way you usually feel. These are things that I think is very important to pay attention to so you can figure out what it is that you should be, looking to incorporate into your everyday diet. And of course, we are in a world that, because everything is going so fast, is moving at a very fast pace, and we are extremely busy, we are mostly relying on foods that are already prepped. They come in a box or they come already, ready for us to just open it and eat it. And I think the problem is that when we rely only on those type of foods, we can definitely cause a lot of issues, even if it's just one little thing at a time or every day relying on that, because there's so much chemicals and processed ingredients, we start experiencing that our bodies need a break. So today I want to try to share simple tips, simple ideas that maybe you can incorporate, and you can also make this process fun and also have your family and your friends to join and be part of the process. So there's so many different diets out there, and one of them is like you have probably heard is vegetarian. There's different types of vegetarian diets. So for this one, vegetarian is a person who does not eat meat, but sometimes, especially not animal products, because of moral, religious, or health reasons. But there is also other vegetarians that do have other type of, like for example, fish. There's some vegetarians that do eat fish. They're called pescatarians. And they do not eat red meat, but they do eat fish. There are also some vegetarians that have eggs and milk, but they do not eat meat. So this shows you how the diets that we have access to and all the options that we also have access to can be very confusing. And I think the key is to make it as simple as possible. One of the ones that is actually very common now, and if you have heard about the Mediterranean diet, which is an Asian diet, it's one that has been around for many, many years. And based on studies, it has shown the benefits in our health. And it's because it has a lot of different things. It's not just focused on plants or meats or dairy, but it's very balanced. And this one is very similar to the flexitarian diet, which is someone who has the most on their plate, a big amount of fruits and veggies, but occasionally they have some types of meat, which is meat, fish, or even chicken. So if you are considering to incorporate more nutrients, maybe this is something that you can explore and find more options or more recipes based on the flexitarian diet. Okay, so now moving into the main topic of our webinar today, which is what is a plant-based diet then? If there's so many diets out there. A plant-based diet is focused specifically on plants, and it includes not only fruits and veggies, but it also includes nuts, seeds, healthy oils, whole grains, legumes, and beans. And this is also very, very similar to the Mediterranean diet, which is one that has been, based on studies, has shown amazing benefits. So I will encourage you to maybe make a list of ingredients and even put it on your shopping list when you go to the supermarket and start exploring some ingredients that are under this category. And I am sure that once you do, it's going to probably be fun because you're not going to be eating the same thing that we usually tend to do, which is eat the same over and over again. This will allow you to explore more options, but not only that, you can also incorporate more nutrients and ultimately benefit your health. So the benefits of eating plants or bringing more plants into your diet. So I have a quick question for you guys, and I invite you to write under the questions so we can make this webinar interactive. And the question is, one second, I'm looking at the poll questions. And also, Erin, if you can help me and look at the questions, if you want to help me out with the comments, if I don't see them, just in case. So I welcome everybody to go ahead and put your comments and your answers of the question that I'm going to ask right under the question section. So when you think about eating plants and veggies or adding more greens into your diet, what is usually the one that your go-to when you incorporate these into your diet? Is it fruits or veggies? So which one of these two, when you think about adding more, is your go-to? Is it fruits or veggies? I'm going to give you a couple of minutes so you can go ahead and write under the question and give me some answers to see what you guys have.
So if you are trying to incorporate more greens into your diet, what are your favorite greens to eat? And if you want to place that into the questions box, we'll see your answers of what is your favorite type of greens to eat. So Melissa said, I'm sorry, Michaela says green beans.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And I know it can be so so hard because there's so many options when you think of greens. So I know that just picking one probably it's not an easy question to answer. But if you have more, you can go ahead and put more. It's okay. Maybe if you have one or two, like the ones that you usually eat the most. And it could be any green, because greens are also including fruits or veggies. So it could be either or.
So Colleen said peas, green beans, lima beans, and broccoli.
Awesome. Those are really good ones. Thank you for sharing.
One of my personal favorites are Brussels sprouts.
Oh, that's a really good one. And I think also, now that you mentioned that, Erin, Brussels sprouts, There's something very interesting that we tend to do when we go to the supermarket and we buy something that comes in a package or in a box. I think the first thing that we tend to do, I don't know about you, but me personally, and I think most people in my family, what we do is we pay more attention to either the calories or how many, the carbohydrates. And we usually link everything that we eat with weight. Like if this is going to make us gain weight. And sometimes we don't pay attention to actually how much energy can this food give me, or thinking when we go to the supermarket and you actually grab a fruit or veggie and the fact that it does not have a label on it, to me, that says a lot because you don't have to worry. You can actually trust it. It's almost like you grab it and you don't have to look at this food the way you look at a package of maybe granola bars when you go to the supermarket if you want to buy granola bars for your kids because you want to make sure it doesn't have too much sugar. Or maybe if you want to, buy some bread for your breakfast or any products that you use that come in a box. It's very interesting how we look at food this way, but also veggies and fruits, believe it or not, they do have, a label, and it's not a label, but based on studies, each fruit and each vegetable has a different amount of nutrients or nutrient density that can benefit us in different ways or different levels. So there is actually one amazing study, and this is from Dr. Furman. Some of the slides that I'm going to be presenting today under the sources, you can actually explore their websites. And Dr. Furman has a scale, it's called the Andy scale. And this is something that I have found very helpful for me to incorporate a lot of veggies that have the most nutrients when I feed my kids or when I make different dishes or when I want to explore a new vegetable. This is how I kind of like look at veggies in terms of, labels or how much nutrients it can give us. Or also when, depending on the season, like sometimes in the winter, before the winter, we think about, the flu season or getting sick. So we try to think about the nutrients that we need for specific seasons. And I think knowing this is very helpful because you tend to incorporate more fruits and veggies that can benefit you in an amazing, at an amazing level. And then you start becoming, bringing, you become more open to have different fruits and not get stuck on the same one, but also add more nutrients when you do this. So I invite you to do that. And yes, Brussels sprouts are amazing. Kale is the top one. So I invite you to explore recipes and maybe incorporate kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower. There's a whole bunch of them on the list that are very, very high in terms of nutrients, the nutrient density. So yeah, that's
Adam
one of
also, Adam also added spinach, and
awesome.
then Colleen said that this is what I love about fruits and veggies.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's very true. It's something that, like I said, sometimes we just take that for granted, but it's almost like you can trust the fruits and the veggies more than looking at a box. It's. I know we do think about sugar, but I think if you start looking at fruits and veggies differently when you compare what's in it, it's and also the benefits of eating more of them. It's amazing. You start seeing fruits and veggies differently. I feel like when I get my box, when I order my veggies, it's almost like Christmas to me. I don't know. I get this happiness. Like it's very exciting for me when I get my fruits and veggies on the mail.
Adam also added lettuce.
Awesome. Yes. So I think anything that we can add, and if it's especially grains and high dense foods that do not come from a box, it's a plus. So thank you for sharing the ones that you like, and I hope that you can also start exploring some that you maybe have not tried or eaten, and you can incorporate them into your everyday you know foods and plates. So all right, so I'm going to continue. I'm going to move on to the next slide. So we're going to talk about the benefits of eating more plants. And I think most of us know, even growing up, it's like we can probably just remember that voice of either your mom or your grandma or your dad, anybody in your family that loves you and cares about you. They always tell you you have to eat your greens, eat your veggies. Um, but do we really eat them? I don't know. It's very interesting how it's something that is always like, it's that inner voice that talks to you even before you sit down and eat something or before you order something. Um, but I think it should be simple. We need to find ways to maybe simplify these, the access or incorporating this into our everyday so that we can actually do it. So I'm gonna first just share with you something that it's basically what we have been taught, and a lot of us probably already know this because this even when we go to the doctor, they remind us that fruits and veggies have amazing benefits, and one of them is weight loss. It helps us to lose weight, also to lower cholesterol, decrease medication needs, feel and look better, boost energy, and also age healthily. So these are just a few of them, but there's many, many other benefits that we can get from eating more fruits and veggies or foods that are not processed, which is basically plant-based. And it's something that I personally have been really focused on. Like I am really fascinated with the benefits of just making small changes into your diet. This is, I'm going to tell you a very short and brief experience that I actually had in the past 3 or 4 years. So I struggled with really bad migraines for a very long time. I think since I had my kids, and I have almost 18-year-old son. So that was one of my main issues. And it was really hard for me to figure out, number one, what was causing it, and number two, what to do to reduce it or get rid of it. And it took me a long time to figure it out. And I remember going to work, sometimes having to call out or missing my kids and my family's events because the migraines will just knock me down. I felt like, it was just, it gets you out of commission. Like you have to lay down, and sometimes some people do not tolerate noise or, light or, certain things, and even makes you feel very nauseous. So I remember I had to, when I was driving and it will start, the headache will start. I used to try to make it home before it got really bad because I knew that at some point I had to throw up. And it was something that I kind of like learned how to live with, but I also had to always have a plan, which was I couldn't leave my house without medication or something, just in case I got a headache and then the migraine started in the middle of the day, and I had to continue to go by my day and do what I was doing. And it's been already, it's gonna be actually 4 years these coming month that I started making changes with my diet. And I thought I was already eating healthy, but I think it was really hard for me to understand that, yes, there are things that can be healthy, but reducing the amount of foods that came from a box was really a solution for me. And I am not saying that this will be everybody's solution because we are all different. We all have different, problems or issues or deficiencies or things that our bodies experience. But I have seen different people that have different conditions, and just by adding more plants and more fruits into their diet, and also, not only that, but also legumes and seeds and fruits that are like whole foods. And it has helped them in a similar way, even though we had different issues and different health conditions or different problems. So I just wanted to share my experience, but like I said, this is something that is different for everybody, and it is also very important that you consult with your doctor before making any changes, and also being honest and talking to them to see what plan you have. before you make any changes or adding anything. And listen to your body, because your body will tell you. It's just like when you have a reaction to something, when you incorporate a food and it doesn't sit well in your stomach, or your body cannot digest it or break it down, you will have some sort of reaction. It could be either a headache, or you can get a rash on your skin. You can feel dizzy. So there's a lot of signs, and it is important that you remember that when it happens, and then try to see if it's a pattern. If you eat the same food again and it happens, then that's the homework that we have to do to figure out what's the right diet for us when it comes to adding more, different fruits or different foods or healthier foods, especially if maybe it's something that you have not been doing or is new to you. New things can bring, new symptoms or new feelings, but hopefully it's something that we all can benefit from, and that everybody can find the right group of fruits, veggies, and foods that are needed every day to feel their best and to have their best energy and just, live happier and better. There's also a slide, there's also a source on the bottom that I recommend that you visit. This is also another doctor, Michael Clapper, and he also gives amazing information about changing or going into a more plant-based diet.
So we're going to start a poll. The question is, do you think you are getting enough fruits and veggies on a regular basis?
I see someone put, I think I could add more. I think it's a lot of us. Thank you so much for sharing that, by the way.
We have 38% say yes, 13% say no, and 50% say I'm not sure.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I love asking these type of questions because I think it allows us to actually evaluate or think if we're really doing what we think we know we should be doing. Because we do know that we should be eating more fruits and veggies, but do we really do it? And I think the answer is no. And number one is because we are living a crazy, hectic life, running around, not having enough food, or being prepped before you leave the house, and then we end up going to the drive-throughs or just buying something quick. And then sometimes we also, this is something that I don't know about you, but this used to happen a lot, and I used to go and spend all this money on veggies and fruits, and because I didn't have a plan on what I was going to make with them, I felt like I will waste so much food, like all my fruits, veggies, and sometimes new fruits and veggies that I wanted to try will, used to end up in the garbage. So I don't know if this is something that you guys experience, but I want to share something with you based on the poll and the question that Erin just asked. And the recommended intake for, for women and men is specific, like it's different, but we are supposed to have between 2 cups of fruit and 3 cups of veggies per day, which is a lot. So I don't know about you guys, but I think that this is something that maybe we need to work on. And that's one of the things that I bringing back the story that I told you. One of the reasons why I started drinking a green shake in the morning was because it was an easy way to add all the servings and different ingredients, different nutrients, different greens with different fruits, and blend it. For those of you that are okay having a smoothie in the morning, that's just a simple solution that I recommend if you want to try it. And you can start incorporating more veggies and fruits on a daily basis, because it is a lot, and I don't think we are having enough. And not only that, but the quality of fruits and veggies are not the same as the way they used to be 40, 50 years ago, because the soil is not the same. Fruits and veggies are traveling way too far, and once you pick them from the tree or wherever they come from, the minute you take them away from their environment, they start dying. So by the time they get into our refrigerator, the density of nutrition or nutrients is not the same. So I think it's a lot of different, little things that we don't think about. but that's maybe the reason why sometimes people say, but I eat enough fruits and veggies. But maybe this is something that we should consider and think about. So if you are thinking of upgrading your consumption of veggies and fruits, maybe I think I would recommend that consider buying local, during this season. Now that the weather is changing, you can buy from local farmers markets, which, most of the fruits and veggies usually come from, closer, and the nutrients are, more dense. But also just incorporating more before you leave the house and making a smoothie, or just adding more greens, maybe on a salad, or, just as a side dish with anything that you have. Okay, this is something that I find very, very interesting. And it's something that it's I think it's very important to talk about when we talk about not only plant-based, but you know the the quality of life we're having, or our health in general. And in this case, is we are living much longer. We have a lifespan that is expanding every year, and there are studies that are proving that our lifespan is expanding, and is too many of us in the planet, and we are maybe eating too much of food that we are not supposed to be eating, and this is where maybe the problem can be coming from. So living longer not always means we're living healthier. So based on studies and according to research, the current life expectancy for the US in 2021 is 78.99 years, which is 0.8% increase from 2020. So just in 1 year, it actually has increased. So think of the future. Imagine if that's going to continue to rise, then there's going to be a lot of us around and we're going to be living longer. So I think this is one of the things that should makes us stop and think and really consider start making changes. Because if we are living longer and we have the chance to live longer, why not live better and have a better quality of life? And better quality of life is not always about having more money or being more successful, but actually feeling good every time you wake up in the morning. Feeling good about yourself and feeling healthy, and not have to worry about, waking up and getting out of bed and dealing with a lot of issues that sometimes are coming just from the food that we're eating, or the foods that we're not eating that we should be eating more. So this was something that I thought that it was important for me to share with everybody, because it's something that we don't think about, but it's a really good way of just thinking and making us start making small changes, you know. So thinking about small changes, but huge benefits. So when we think about adding more plants, more veggies, and incorporating healthier foods into our plate, it is a win-win, and it's not only for our health. But I think that when we think about food, sometimes we only think about, well, it is healthy for me and my health can change. But this is actually something that it's a perfect cycle. And just like the saying says, you are what you eat. Well, what we eat is also something that will affect other things around us. What goes into our bodies is going to end up somewhere. And it's a perfect cycle that we really need to understand and maybe do something to start respecting it more. So when you start eating more plants, or you start eating more natural foods, and maybe reduce the consumption of processed foods, you can not only improve your health, but you can also help slow climate change. You can also help the species to conserve the species that are disappearing. It can also allow you to be more connected in mind and body connection. It's very interesting when you do that and how you can feel your body more. You can also experience more mental clarity, which is something that a lot of us are suffering from, not being able to perform clearly when we go to work or when we do different activities throughout the day. It's this feeling of feeling tired all the time, and this is almost like a saying that is very common. I'm tired and sick of being tired, because it is true. Like, we wake up, and sometimes even the minute that we get up in the morning and we go to work and we get to work, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock, and a lot of us are already feeling tired. And that's personally something that I had for a long time. And the mornings are hectic, and there's so much that we do, but I think feeling tired already at 9, 10 in the morning, it's something that we don't deserve. We should do something to improve the energy and the mental clarity that we need so we can enjoy more everything that we do. When you also eat more plants and more plant-based foods, you can become more compassionate, and you actually can feel like that you can love more, because it's something that it's part of the cycle. So when you are incorporating more plants and you understand the importance of them, you respect them, and you also respect where they come from, which is the soil and the earth and the cycle that allows them to grow, to get into your life, so you can use them and fuel your body. So it's something very, very interesting that I have to personally share. I have felt that since I started eating more fruits and veggies, and just reducing the consumption, or eating less processed foods, I feel more thankful, and also you see things different, and I appreciate more where things come from. This is something that I am benefiting from, and the energy and what they give me is just something that I can't even thank enough. It's very, very interesting. I welcome you to practice that, and also this is something that is part of being mindful and practicing gratitude. So when you look at your plate, it's good to take your time and appreciate what you're eating, because every single bite and everything that you put into your body is going to be crucial and very needed for you to, function and just go through your day and have a good day.
Veronica, we did get a question from Colleen about what are your thoughts on shakes? I make fresh spinach with some fruit water and chia seeds to thicken. I think I could add more.
That sounds delicious, Colleen. So I think shakes are a great source to start your day. And yes, if you are, like I said, the bio individuality of what we need every day. If you are someone who has to concentrate or pay attention to the sugar intake, I will recommend that you use berries. If you're gonna add fruit, which is amazing, I think that I do put berries in my shake and my smoothie every day, and they are low in sugar. But if you are okay having bananas and you want to add more flavor, you can go ahead and throw a banana, or even just use half or quarter of a banana. And then if you are adding sweets that come from fresh fruits, you can actually add more greens. So maybe spinach, you can get brave and maybe throw a little bit of kale, and just start combining different fruits and veggies that you think will enjoy. Like, everybody has different preferences when it comes to taste, but I do recommend that if you want to add fruit, and if you're okay having fruits that are sweeter than others, you can try the banana and then start adding more greens. And keep your spinach, keep throwing the spinach in, because that's amazing. That's packed with protein and vitamins and minerals that you need. But also maybe throwing some kale, and adding, you can add other fruits if you want, like a pear, or you know like apples are good. And even if you want to incorporate also ingredients that are good for inflammation. I will recommend that you add a little bit of lemon and ginger. So it's something that everybody has to explore until you find something that you really like. But yeah, definitely keep having your green shake in the morning. And the chia seeds are great also for, protein and vitamins. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Colleen. I hope that answered your question. So I'm going to move on and continue to with the next slide. So start with simple changes. I think this is one of the keys because just like everything, when we start making changes, it can be very confusing, and sometimes we don't even know where to start. And they tell us, okay, you have to eat more veggies and more fruits, but there are so many out there. So again, if you want, in this slide, in this presentation, there is the link for the Andes scale. So I invite you, if you want to, you can also Google it. It's on Google, and it's also under the website for Dr. Furman, and I do use it with my clients, and it's amazing. It's very helpful. You can print it out and put it on your refrigerator, but this will be like kind of like a map of veggies and fruits that you want to explore, and also look at things that you might need. If you're maybe trying to incorporate more iron or calcium or fiber, these are the, this is the way to, to approach it. It's based on your needs, and then start adding different ingredients that can serve you based on whatever you are trying to work on. But if it's just in general, you just want to try different things, you can look at the dense nutrients of each and every single fruit and veggie, and also the sugar content or anything that you're trying to do based on a list of things, just like when you read a label. And it also will give you ideas to maybe explore new veggies that you maybe have not tried. And it doesn't have to be in a smoothie, but it can be, in many different ways. So when we think of eating more plants, we mostly think of our health, but there's so much more. And the benefits from, the way that we should nurture our bodies. And we are usually focused, like I said, more on the calories and, the carbohydrates and everything that is linked to weight loss. But I think if we switch that and you start thinking of adding just nutrients, crowding out your diet, and welcoming different foods that will benefit your health, it's less stressful, it's easier, and we'll probably enjoy it more. So real quick, going back to the trying to welcome more plants and more plant-based options, and also how these can affect not only our health, but also the environment. So if we were to reduce 15% of meat consumption, it will have the same impact on greenhouse gas emissions as removing or taking away 240 million cars off the road each year. So think about this. And maybe this is something that we don't even think about. Like, how can we actually reduce pollution by just eating more plants? I want to talk about these. And I'm going to give you a personal story real quick that I found very helpful, because when you have kids and when you have family members that are picky, we all have preferences. There's a lot of foods that not a lot of people are open to try or eat, and it can become very stressful, and you just give up and you're like, I am not doing this. I am not making 20 different meals for 20 different people in my house. But just starting simple and also doing it with purpose maybe allows you to be more open to try it and look at food and the things that you do from a different perspective. So we started practicing Meatless Monday, and this is one of the simple ways that you can actually help not only your health, but also the environment. So I don't know if any of you know about Meatless Monday or if you've heard of it, But Meatless Monday was something that started not too long ago. I believe it was I actually wrote down the facts because I did not know the exact details. But I do know that Paul McCartney, which is one of the Beatles, he actually started it in the UK and it has become huge. And when you reduce your intake of meat just by not eating meat on Mondays, you can actually reduce your heart disease, the risk of obesity, cancer, stroke, and diabetes. It can also save 133 gallons of water. Imagine. And this is per person. You can also reduce your carbon footprint by 8 pounds just by not eating meat every Monday. And then you can also, which is, I love these, you can reduce the budget. You can actually spend less money. Meat is not cheap. And if you're trying to eat cleaner meat, which is organic chicken or wild caught salmon, it's actually not cheap. So we usually tend to buy, just cheaper if it's a big family, but we don't pay attention to not only the impact that these can have in our health because we're eating foods that are processed, that, these animals are being fed in a very fast-paced, cycle. Like they are just feeding them to make them grow and get big fast so we can feed the world because we're eating way too much meat. On an average, family, most people have meat at least 2 times a day. Imagine a big family and, the amount of, chemicals and also just producing that amount of meat per household and worldwide, just consuming meat at this, level. If you think about it, it's actually huge. So in my house, we actually started, it was probably 4 years ago. And my little one was the most excited one about it because I used to make him chop up all my veggies. I would let him throw things in the food processor. And he actually became a fun activity. Like on Monday, I will give him the mushrooms to cut up and then he thought that he was just helping me, but those foods were actually going into his plate. And just by having him be part of it, made him more open to try new foods. And yes, there's foods that we are not used to, but I think finding ways to incorporate it, it could be blended, it could be put it in the food processor. You can start like just very little. If you don't like big things, you can make sauce with different veggies. And it's actually very fun. And you can also food prep, which is, it helps you a lot with saving time, when you buy it. And all of a sudden, you're going to start seeing that you enjoy not only the flavor of your foods, also the way you feel. And then you can start practicing not just Meatless Monday, but you can also, you also start feeling like, well, it can become Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which actually happened in my house. So I do not consume meat, but my family still does. They do eat meat. But I think that because we started practicing this, we have been able to reduce the meat and also the budget, which is beautiful. I love it. And, it also involved everybody and it has made us or made them be more open to try new ingredients and new foods. I encourage you to try these and you can just do it one Monday at a time. That's a good question.
So again, I'll read that again. According to studies, which do you think is the biggest cause for CO2 emissions and production of carbon dioxide? The answers are car emissions or livestock farming. And we had 38% of people say car emissions and 63% of people say livestock farming.
That's a very interesting answer. And I think that this is something that we have been brought up just thinking that the biggest, source of like, the reason why there's so much pollution, is the cars and transportation and the car emission. But it's very interesting how, because of the way we are eating, research are showing that livestock farming is actually the number one, reason why, um, the environment is being affected in the way that it is. And you can see it in, the change of weather, climate change, global warming. It actually has a big connection with the livestock farming. I wanted to also just put out there, because now we have so much good material on Netflix. I know that with the pandemic, even more, like a lot of people enjoy watching Netflix, and it's good to at least watch something that can educate yourself or just learn something new. And there's a couple of good documentaries out there. One is called What the Health on Netflix, and this gives a lot of details and explanations about the effects of livestock farming and the environment. And it also talks about a lot of things that we're talking and covering today. But yes, definitely the production or the livestock farming is, it produces methane, which is a gas, a very harmful gas. It's not natural gas, but it is very harmful when it's in a very high level. When it's, the waste being produced is such a high amount that this is the reason why it's affecting our environment. So I want you to think about that and see how just by doing Meatless Monday can maybe help that. We can reduce, the effects on the environment by just eating more plants, which is amazing to me. And then we can also give our little cute animals Mondays off. Okay, so moving to how can I start adding more veggies? Back to the question of, okay, I know I need to eat more veggies, but how do I do this? I'm gonna give you a couple of ideas, and hopefully this helps you. But also remember that everybody has different, preferences. Everybody has different foods that they like, different schedules. So it is important that you try to be prepared. I feel like the prepping is very important. And also understanding that actually cooking veggies can be more efficient and it saves you more time than actually, cooking meat. It's faster and it's more simple. And if you buy your veggies and your fruits, there's a lot of them that you can cut up and have them ready for the week. When you take them for snacks or things that you want to throw in your salad, it's a good practice. And it also helps you save time and have things ready so they don't go bad and you actually eat them and you start seeing changes. This is actually a pizza, because who doesn't like pizza? And this is a very simple recipe that we have on Fridays, and it's actually made by my kids, and it's delicious. And you can buy good ingredients, good mozzarella cheese if you still like cheese, a good sauce, and there's many different options now for crust. If you want to stay on the veggie side, you can buy cauliflower. There's gluten-free, and if not, just buy a good quality one. And you can make it at home, and it's definitely more affordable than actually buying a whole pie at a store. Pizza, believe it or not, is not cheap. And veggies doesn't always mean bunny food. People think that when you eat, are on a plant-based diet or you eat mostly veggies, all you're going to be eating is carrots and celery all day, and it's not true. There's a huge variety of things. I actually love exploring. This is actually one of my chilies that I make at home, and I take the opportunity to throw in this chili anything and everything that my kids will not eat raw. So there's bok choy, there's quinoa, I put spinach, I put a whole bunch of onions and spices, and it tastes delicious. So my kids actually get excited when I make chili at home. And you can use these dishes that are easy to make, but also the best opportunity for you to add nutrients and start, changing your health and your diet. And breakfast is the same. It is also one of my favorite breakfasts that I usually have. It's an Ezekiel bread, which is low in glycemic, it's low in sugar. And I love nuts, nut butter, peanut butter. There's so many out there. And I put chia seeds and fresh fruit on top. And this is just an option. And there's so many other options out there that you can explore and start eating plants. It doesn't have to be always the donut, the coffee, and all the sugary stuff that we can become very addicted to. but it doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. Just giving the opportunity to, your diet and the options to be upgraded and be better. And some of the possible disadvantages, because I know these can be tricky, and just gonna go real quick through them. We think about deficiencies and omnivores versus plant-based deficiencies. Based on studies, usually vegans have deficiencies on calcium, iodine, and different vitamins. But people that rely or just depend on foods that are highly processed, look at all the deficiencies: calcium, fiber, folate, iodine, magnesium, vitamin C. And this is something that a lot of us are experiencing. So I want you to think about that. It's not about just thinking, oh, this diet is better than the other, but just being more focused on the nutrients and the good foods that you're eating every day. So you don't have to worry about these things. But definitely more plants and more veggies are there, to go to. Aren't fries vegan? Yes, vegans can eat a lot of junk food, but a lot of us are. It doesn't matter what type of diet you're following. Make sure that you pay attention to the ingredients and pay attention to the sugar. It should come from fruits and veggies. Same with carbohydrates. They should come from fruits and veggies mainly, not depend or rely on just something that is vegan or vegetarian, because it doesn't mean that it's always healthy. So these are one of the negatives and the positives. And always look at the positives and the things that your body can benefit from. And again, this is by your individual. So it depends on what your body needs, and focus on the positives and the good changes that you can experience through making small changes. When you eat a plant-based diet, you can lower your risk of many chronic diseases, like type 2 diabetes, risk of high blood pressure, keep healthy weight, and of course lower risk of heart disease. And you might even start hugging your veggies. I do that, even though my kids think I'm crazy. I know we're running out of time. I'm going to go through this really quick. What about protein? So these are some of the things that you can actually research. They're on the slides, and you can actually compare the amount of protein that you can get from beans and legumes versus meat. And the beauty of this is that legumes actually have fiber, and meat does not have any fiber. So think about that. Veggies versus meat, same thing that I said. Just looking at the content and the amount of protein and vitamins, and it's something that you should consider. Sources of vitamins. So these are some of the things that you should focus on. If you have deficiencies, pay attention to the things that you should eat more, and still give space for veggies and fruits. And adding some powerful foods that maybe you do not have not tried. And one of them is chlorella, spirulina. And this one is an amazing one that I actually am sharing at the end. You can take it as a handout. Is nutritional yeast, which is something that vegans use. It's packed with vitamin B12 and B6. It also has a lot of protein, and it has a cheesy taste, so you can use it as a cheese ingredient if you like cheese. And this is the Andy scale, which shows you the content of the dense nutrients of each. So I recommend that you use this scale. You can print it out and use it as a guide. And if you are ready to add more plants, get ready to be happier and healthier. And it's never too early or too late to work towards being healthier you. So I wanted to thank you for participating and for being here. Thank you, Erin, and also for the ARC of New Jersey and the New Jersey Self-Advocacy for having me and allowing me to share this information with you.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Veronica. It was fantastic. I'm just going to check the questions box. Adam suggested some food that he loves. He loves chili and pizza and banana peanut butter with turkey, bacon, egg sandwich. I don't know if that's all together, Adam, or if those are separate things you like. Excellent. And then Colleen says, thank you so very much. So again, thank you so much for presenting this, Veronica. It's always a pleasure. And thank you everyone for attending. This will be up online in about 2 days. And again, if you have any other questions, you can reach out to Veronica, you can reach out to us. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks.